Hello, everyone. Hello, Scout leaders around the world. We will start in a moment. We just want to give a minute or two for everyone to join. As I see more and more people are joining, so just we will wait for a minute or two and then we will start. Thank you for the reactions. Much appreciated. I hope you can hear me well. Can you see some thumbs up if you can hear me well? Yeah, and you can see the screen properly and everything, the presentation. Yes, I see all the thumbs up. Good. All right, I think we'll start. I see the number is more or less stabilized, but we'll start slow so others can join also if they're running late a bit. All right, so let me first, let's not be strangers. Let me first introduce myself. Maybe we start there. My name is Mihailo. I'm a director of digital and information technology for the organization of the Scout Movement. I work in the Global Support Center in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm at the helm of the World Scouting digital transformation efforts over the past number of years. And I was most importantly, one of the things I'm most proud of, my most recent thing is that I'm awarded an Ethereum Foundation Fellowship, where I joined the latest cohort of innovators making use of blockchain technologies and Ethereum platform for public good. My project is going to be all about scouts and how do we use, how we can use exploring use cases in scouting, or use cases of blockchain in scouting, particularly bringing the scouting badges to the NFTs and to the digital wallets, and digitalizing that whole gamification we have in scouting with the badges. So maybe without further delay, we go into understanding a little bit more what we're going to do in this session. So we'll have a quick check of our knowledge to see where we are, who we are, also to understand a little bit who are the participants and what do you know about this. No test, don't worry, it's anonymous. You just want to understand a little bit where are we coming from. We will talk a little bit about the web evolution. So from 1.0, from the start of the internet, actually, web 1.0 to web 3.0. And then we will look a little bit into blockchain to understand a little bit blockchain technology. And then we'll focus mostly on the use cases, discussing this. This is where I would like to take more questions from you and some ideas maybe. So we'll use Q&A for that. We'll briefly talk about digital wallets, just do a little bit, a couple of things to remember and to know. And then we will we'll also give you some links where to learn more about blockchain and for example, developing or use cases and exploring. And then finally, you will have a chance also, like Scouts had in the previous session, because this is the second session. We had a session already for the young people earlier, a few hours ago, where you will also have a chance, like they do, to earn a first official World Scouting NFT badge. Okay, let's move on. So let's start with the Slido a little bit. Just take your phones, scan the code. I think you probably get familiar with if you participate in the other sessions, scan this code, or you can go to slido.com #web30, and we'll do a quick pool on how much we know about blockchain and a little bit about yourself also to understand. So I'll just switch sharing now to another screen so that things get a little bit easier, right? So here we are. Let's start. So first the question, are you a Scout leader? I just want to understand a little bit how many of you are Scout leaders, or do we have like a little bit of others in the group, which is also fine, of course. Everybody is welcome, so just want to understand. So please feel free to, again, log in. You're not Scout leader. Okay, we have one person join the Slido, so you need a bit more time to join. I'll wait a little bit. So scan the code with your phones, or okay, or go to the slido.com/scoutsweb30. I only see 2 persons joining Slido. Don't be lazy. Leaders, come on. I want to know just a little bit about you. And I don't think it has sense if we do this only with 2 persons. There's much more of you on the chat, among participants. So please join me on Slido. It's going to be very short, so not a test. Okay, so we have only 3 persons for now, but joining Slido, but it will be good to hear from the others. Come on, scan the code, please. I see there is a question. Is this the same webinar just like earlier? Not really. There is a little bit of difference, but it's a good if you attended the previous one. It's not bad to repeat and hear some other things a little bit if you are a scout leader, especially. Okay, can we have more people? Nope. Okay. I don't see more people joining Slido. Okay. Well, we'll do it with these 3. Have you attended any other courses, lectures, webinars on topic of a blockchain? Okay, half. People yes, people no. Okay, a little bit more yes, so that's good. We'll have some knowledge here. Okay, or no, half still. Okay. Do you know what blockchain is? That's another question. Just as we're trying to understand how much you know. Are you aware? Do you know what is it? A bit, maybe yes, maybe no. That's all fine. Everything is correct. Everything is fine. There's no correct answer here. There's not so many people joining Slido, so okay, a bit. Maybe you attended the previous session. That's also fine. You can repeat some things, but not everything. Okay, as another question, what is the first thing you think of when you hear the word blockchain? Okay, someone is typing. Let's see. Bitcoin. Okay, interesting. That's good. We'll talk about that. Any more? Connection and information. Okay, that's also fine. That's good. Yeah, here's some people having challenge with Slido. Interesting. I'll try again. Let's see. Waste of energy. That's an interesting one. We'll talk about that. Actually, it is not anymore since the previous month. We are on the proof of stake with Ethereum specifically. We are on the proof of stake protocol, which is very green. So we'll talk about that. Okay, let's check one more question and then it's all right. We can continue with the session. True or false, a user can alter data on blockchain. What is correct here? Is this statement correct or not? Is it true or false that a user can alter data on a blockchain? Okay, I hear a suggestion to be a bit louder. No problem. Thank you. I will. Okay, this is false. That's correct. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think this is enough from Slido. We'll move back to our presentation. So, okay, back to the presentation. Oops, sorry. So let's start with a little bit of understanding what web evolution was looking like. And we'll have also a little bit of overlook into how this looked like for scouting. So we could say officially the internet started in 1970. Some of you maybe know this was a military project, and it was only used for military cases, use cases, and particularly like in communication with distant locations, satellites, and some rocket systems. And then sometime in 1990s, it started as a World Wide Web. It started being commercial and open as a public good to everyone. So people started creating websites. If you might remember, in 1995, we did Netscapes and Explorers. We had something we called version 1 of the web. And then in 2005, we have a thumbs up, which maybe symbolize, social media. That's exactly what it is. So in 2005, we have a start and emerging of the social media sites. And in 2018, which is something we consider often, formally at least, the start of the Web 3.0. Some would argue it's a bit earlier, but of course, it's all like experimental phases. And then now it's more like prominent since 2018. We are into a phase of the 3.0 phase of the internet, which I will explain in a bit. So again, you can see here a little bit different comparison between different stages of the internet, so you can see in the Web 1.0, this was a read-only static websites, more like news, information, Wikipedia style things. And basic start of the email communication, some chats, and pretty much that was it. In Web 2.0, so we have an emerging of read, write, and interactivity. So meaning that users can also, besides they can read, they can also write. So they can interact with the content and be be also content creators. And this is the era of user-generated content as well as we know it. And Web 3.0 is read, write, and trust verifiable, meaning that yes, we can still read and we can write. We can contribute to the whole system, but we can also verify things, and it's decentralized. Meaning, we'll talk about it in a bit. How it changed, what does it mean, and how this looks differently and change. So Web 1.0. You will remember, just a kind of summary here. There will be like a webmaster would create a web page, and we would just, users will be like reading and watching what's going on there. Then this is how it looked like for scouting, if you want. So in 1996, we had a first website, as you can see here on the this white one, and then we consequently a bit later had a little bit of improved website. But all of these websites up to the last one that you see, the purple one over there in this era, was basically only read-only websites, or information only, one-way information only. We would share information about scouting there in news and stuff, but there was no ways for you to really interact with the content at that point. Web 2.0, this is the era we live today. This is again era where we have webmasters and creators. We also have internet surfers who are contributing to the content into the websites. We also have some APIs and RSS feeds and stuff. So things are talking to each other, websites and applications talking to each other, and that's how we receive this information dynamically. We can create our personas and our profiles in different places and contribute. And for the word scouting, this is also important thing to mention, that in 2013, and actually we had a little bit of experimenting in 2012 with Messengers of Peace website, but in 2013, we formally emerged into this as well. And we have created the first user-generated content scouting website. Our scout.org was open for all of you to register, create your accounts, and contribute, post some, share some updates, blogs, community projects, service hours, if you may. And this is something that we kept on. We have reshaped this along the way, because we learned a lot about this, of course, and you can see that also happening in the other social medias and sites were allowed contributions from users. They also evolved and we evolved. So now this content with our ecosystem, we have multiple websites that are all connected with the same single sign-on, your Scaru.org account, which you used for this year Jota Joti or any other Jota Jotis in the past, and next ones. So you will use the same credentials along all our ecosystem of websites and log in, and you can interact with our website, with our web applications and web platforms. Important to note for this now, that this journey, we have changed also a little bit. So main page of Scaru.org is more externally oriented. The new site that you could see today, launched this year, but then you can also you can go there from there to the members portal or SDG Hub, where you can still post your projects and your blogs and all the information. You can share your news with the world and what you're doing. Web 3.0 is an era of decentralization. I mentioned this is the era of NFTs. We'll talk about all of these. Metaverse, we all also probably hear a lot about that. We'll talk about that as well. And changes that can be made into voting and stuff like that. So this is a very important era, and changing. The cornerstone or a foundation of this Web 3.0 is a blockchain technology, and this is why we'll be looking into that today. So we as a Scouts are also embarking on a journey to Web 3.0 with this workshop, with this event. We are officially launching our first green NFT badge. I repeat, green. I'll talk about that also, why it's green, but it's because it's built on the Ethereum network, and Ethereum network is now based on proof of stake and not the proof of work, which was the mining process. But again, we will talk about that in the next slides. But we are ready, and Scouts are going to the Web 3.0 starting from today. So, okay, let's look a little bit into blockchain technology. Let me check how is the feeling so far. Are you ready for emerging into some new knowledge about blockchain, or filling in the gaps that you have? Can I see some thumbs up if you are still there with me following? Okay, I see some thumbs up. Okay, good. So it means we are ready. Okay, so if you're ready, let's start with something very fun. It's always good to start with something fun and interesting. So it's I will share with you one very fun video for young people on, but it's actually very relevant for all of us who maybe don't understand about blockchain, to get the basis and also have a little bit of laugh. So let's watch this.
Let me tell you a short story about a little fellow called Jacob. Since he could remember, Jacob always wanted to get a blue cat, but his parents were always finding ways to not get it for him. So, one Christmas, he figured out a way to finally get his dream pet. He would send his wish to Santa. Oh, how excited he was when he wrote the letter! But Jacob was too young to take the letter to the post office by himself, so the next morning he had to ask his dad to do it for him. You could say that his dad was the middleman between Jacob and Santa. He never imagined that on his way to the post office, his dad would open the letter, read it, and replace the blue cat on the list with a brand new pair of socks. The letter was posted to the North Pole, to Santa and the elves. When they received it, they started working right away, making Jacob's gift. So that year, Jacob received an adorable pair of socks. But next Christmas, Jacob decided to use the blockchain. Jacob wrote exactly the same letter, but instead of giving it to his mum or dad to deliver, he directly uploaded it to the North Pole blockchain. The North Pole blockchain is made up of a lot of computers connected to one another through the internet that all store a copy of everyone's Christmas list. The network is being monitored at the same time by all the elves, Santa himself, and even people like Jacob's parents. Every time a new letter is received, it is saved onto every individual computer, so everyone has the exact same copy. As the blockchain is an open network, everyone can see all the letters, even though it's impossible to know to whom each one belongs to. But when Jacob's parents saw that there was a letter asking for a blue cat, it wasn't hard for them to know that it was from Jacob. So, once again, they changed it, this time for a cookbook. But as every other node had a copy of Jacob's real letter, the change was spotted, and the computer trying to make the change was cut off from the network, meaning Jacob's real letter remained unchanged. So, guess what Jacob received that year for Christmas?
Okay, can I see some thumbs up and some emotions just to understand how you like the video? Did you like it? It was really good, huh? Jacob won the game, huh? With the blockchain. Hope it's now becoming a little bit more clear what the blockchain is. But we'll continue with our presentation and explaining a little bit more about blockchain. So, okay, what is important to also understand? Blockchain is not Bitcoin. Yeah. So this is important. This is a technology behind the Bitcoin, but it's not Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin is a digital token, and blockchain is a ledger to keep track of who owns these digital tokens. So it's a technology behind it. Yeah. So so you can have a Bitcoin without a blockchain, but you can't have a blockchain without Bitcoin. So important things to know. So people who are on slide on immediately be associated with Bitcoin. This is for you specifically. Of course, Bitcoin helped promoting this technology that existed before, actually, but Bitcoin, with the creation of Bitcoin, this was a bit more, it kind of emerged into a mainstream and start being a big thing and start being explored further. So, all right, so let's look a little bit into formal definitions of, or there are many definitions of a blockchain. I picked one here for you. Blockchain is a public network of computers, all hosting, maintaining, and creating new blocks of data that are chained together using cryptography. This allows us to keep an immutable ledger of entire history of events that have happened on the network. So an important bit here is to understand is that this is a public network, so it's publicly open, comparing to maybe current networks that are not necessarily public. They are hidden and encrypted. So in blockchain, everything is transparent, not the personal data, but just what the transaction data. This is all hosted in blocks, in different blocks instead of in servers. So we'll talk about it in the next slide. And this is all very well chained and secured using cryptography. So we are familiar as scouts with cryptography. We use cryptography in scouting, I think, a lot. So this is going to be probably interesting and understandable to scouts. So another way to understand also may be better for some other people who like to compare things, and that way to figure out, to understand. So if you think about the databases that I mentioned, as the blockchain is, you can think of the centralized database. This is the databases that we currently know of mostly. So this is the databases which are hosted in servers. So we have clients, us who are accessing the server via internet, and basically accessing some websites, for example, by getting the data of this website into our browser. Browser reads this for us and turn it into a website, and vice versa. We communicate in both directions with these servers. And then one of the problems with this traditional structure, among other problems, it's a single point of failure. That is that server. So you know when the servers are attacked or they're overloaded, there's problems with servers, you go to some website and it says, and you can, this happened to even the biggest websites we know, or maybe web applications that we know, that they are unavailable. You go there and it's just like, oh, the server is not accessible. And that's a problem of this traditional or centralized database system. And there are others as well, of course, that, for example, there is an administrator, as you see in the middle, is someone who has access to this data and can alter and change the data at any time. Yeah, because he has access to servers, access to data, access to databases. Now, on the other side, we have a blockchain, distributed ledgers. So distributed, all the information is distributed among different blocks and users. Yeah, so nobody, like it's not owned only on one. There is no single point of failure. So it's all distributed. And this communication happened between this as also in a secure manner, which is a consensus algorithm, which we'll talk about in a moment, for example, proof of work or proof of stake, which actually makes this very secure and makes this possible also. So, okay, so blockchain technology. Again, let's look at it a little bit. I repeat, I mentioned this is a structure that stores transactional records, also known as blocks. You can see these little blocks. It hosts this in a public several databases known as a chain. So a network connected through peer-to-peer nodes. Typically, this storage is referred as digital ledger. So every transaction in this ledger is authorized by digital signature of the owner, which authenticated transaction and safeguarded from tampering. So hence the information in this digital ledger is highly secure. Yeah, well, it's almost impossible to tamper and change. I mean, like really impossible. In a simple words, digital ledger, maybe to also for those who like metaphors, digital ledger is like a Google spreadsheet shared among numerous computers in a network in which transactional records of what's going on in this spreadsheet are stored based on actual purchases. So fascinating angle about all of this is that anybody can see the data, but they cannot corrupt it. And when I say see the data, again, repeating an important piece about blockchain, that it's all as it's privacy secured. So they see the data, transactional data. So what happened? So this information was requested, this information was got or received, or this token was sent and this token was received by these addresses. But these addresses are public, but not your personal information. Okay, so looking a little bit just into these blocks, which I just maybe the last one on these blocks is that you understand is that there is each block contains its own hash and a previous hash. So you can see block 1 has this hash, and block 2 has a hash of the previous block and its own hash, and then block 3 has a hash of the previous block and its own hash. So you can see that if you look at the numbers here, they refer that way. So that explains how complex it's impossible to tamper this type of system, essentially. Okay. Mentioned a few times hash, so people probably asking what is this? This is something new. Okay, we're starting to understand these blocks and information databases, but now we start talking about hash. So hash code essentially acts as a digital fingerprint from the block for the block. So each owner of the block, you personally would have a hash, your private and public key as well, which contains both of these. So that's blockchain. It contains three things actually. And hashing essentially is the process of taking an input of any length, so text, anything, website URL, secret message that you want to send, whatever, into a cryptographic output through a mathematical algorithm that you see in the middle, algorithm. And this algorithm is known as a hashing algorithm, and most blockchains use SHA-250 hashing algorithm, which produces a 64-character long hash code. SHA stands for Secure Hash Algorithm, and 256, it takes 256 bytes of memory. So just to give you an idea, I didn't want to make it complicated, but I just wanted to explain you how secure any information is. So you will give a text, a clear understanding text, for example, any input or maybe a file or something. It will be encrypted in this algorithm, and the output would be different totally and would be only understandable to the owner. Huh? So it's like the cryptography. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about a little bit about this algorithm thing. And this is important, especially for those who are putting on the slide waste of energy. So just let me explain this a little bit more. So in the past, or still, of course, for Bitcoin and some other projects on blockchain, less or more familiar, but I mentioned Bitcoin because that's one of that you all know, is based on proof of work. So we have this on the left side, proof of work works, and you will remember this from this previous slides. This block is also a blockchain, so all blocks is all this thing is the same except few things which we'll talk about in a second. So each block to the chain, miners must compete to solve a difficult puzzle using their computer's processing power. So the miners, people who put up their computers, they're very powerful computers, very expensive and powerful computers, graphic cards, and all of this you probably heard, and use a lot of energy to solve the puzzle, essentially, to solve to check and solve the puzzle for it. And then once they solve this algorithm, a mathematical task, essentially, what they need to do, they would the first one who solved this will get a reward for their work. But just to be clear, how this is also a safe method, because in order to add any malicious block or something that would be wrong, you remember how in the video Jacob's father was trying to tamper when he made a blockchain, trying to change the letter, but automatically blockchain take it out because it's not in the system says that it's not the same like the other copies, and has to be that's the evidence, the validation. So it wasn't validated, yeah? So it was taken out. So this is same here. So in order to add a malicious block and to tamper something, you would have to have a computer that is 51% more powerful than all the computers that are currently in the network, in that blockchain. So it's really not in the blockchain, but in the whole network, which is impossible, almost impossible, but or very hard, actually very hard. So then we have a proof of stake. Now this is this is not environmentally friendly because it uses a lot of consumers. We have a proof of stake on the other hand, which is 99.98% spending less energy than the other one, so almost almost to zero, not really zero, but very less. And this is a different thing. So there is no competition. So there is no board needed for a big and strong computers. There's no competition. The block creator is chosen by algorithm based on the user stake. So there are stakers, so people who just are staking and validating the thing. But there is no competition. Algorithm is just randomly choosing the user stake and confirming the validation. And in this system, there is no reward for making this block, the final block of information. But actually, there is a block creator gets a transaction fee. So there is a transaction fee, of course, in all of this involved. When you want to send some information, there's some fee, and that transaction fee is then given to stakers. In this concept is also safe. In order to add a malicious block, to tamper something, you have to own 51% of all the cryptocurrency on the network. So you would have to be owner of 51% of all the currency in the whole network to be able to tamper something. Okay, and briefly here is describe the process. Again, I won't go into too much details in this session, but in general, this describes that the transaction is requested and broadcasted to the peer-to-peer network of the nodes. There is a validation happening. So this is the stakers. The verified transaction, once it's verified and confirmed, remember when the blockchain confirmed that Jacob actually drove a cat and not the socks, which the father wasn't tampering, and that what was confirmed was then verified and become part of the new block of the ledger, added into the chain, and then transaction is complete. And yeah, Santa got the right message. Okay, I talk a lot about the Ethereum. I just want to tell you the Ethereum is not comparing to Bitcoin and some others which are very much oriented into profit. Ethereum is not like that. Ethereum is actually a network and a community of people doing good and finding use cases for blockchain that will solve real problems, and it's really, I invite you to explore a little bit more about this and see it by yourself. So I just want to mention Ethereum Foundation here, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting Ethereum and related technologies. Ethereum Foundation is not a company or not traditional nonprofit. Its role is not to control and lead Ethereum. So there is no direction, there is no orders there. They have no power of such to lead the Ethereum network, which is decentralized and belong to all the users there, and not to some owners. And nor they are organization that funds critical development related technologies for Ethereum. So they're not funding these type of things, but what they are doing is they are part of much larger ecosystem. They have three very interesting initiatives that I also like to invite you to look into. Ecosystem support program, which is basically supporting the initiatives and projects that are looking into new use cases. DevCon, which is one where I actually participated this past week here in Bogota in Colombia, which is our largest event for, it's been organized since 2014, that annual conference of all Ethereum developers, researchers, thinkers, and makers. And then there is a fellowship program, I think is missing on the slide, probably by mistake. But this is another third initiative that I want to mention. It's to help address gaps in representation across cultures, nationalities, economic classes. So it's a program of bridging these gaps by identifying and supporting unique and talented individuals, helping enable Ethereum relevance and breaking down barriers to enter those unrepresented people and communities who will become future of Web 3.0. Okay. I want to talk in the next part, and this is where I would like to see more of your questions. I see some are coming in already. I hope you understood a little bit more about blockchain so far, but let's look about the blockchain use cases, or why blockchain is important and what we can do with it. So before I go on in the last few minutes about this, maybe I would like to see some questions if there are some interesting ones. Okay, hello, who or what organization, I see that one question is there, who or what organization is responsible to maintain, upgrade the blockchain technology? A good question. So it is no really organization that is responsible. This is a decentralized system. So there are developers who are working like an open source, if you remember, I mean, how that works. So there are people there are a lot of developers, a lot of interest sides, and maybe sometimes some of the businesses and others who want to contribute to this cause. So there is a whole system of people who are looking into how to improve certain things on the network. So they would improve constantly things. Like there is now, like you see, the Ethereum was previously using also proof of work, like Bitcoin, but it moved in September to this new concept, new protocol, proof of stake. And this is where a lot of people were involved to work and test this out. So there's no really organization per se. It's all decentralized, it's democratized. So there are a lot of contributors then work, develop, and test this, and release it once it's tested well. See some more questions coming in. How can it help me as a Scout leader, and how can I use it? Okay, we will talk about that just in the next few slides. So I'll answer there, hopefully. And what can I do for blockchain? Or I presume the question is, what can I do with the blockchain? So I think that's also what we're going to answer in the next slides. Yes, I see also a question. How do we apply blockchain in scouting? Also, we're going to answer about this, I think, in the next slides. Okay, I think let's move on to the next slides because of the time also, but I hope I will answer your questions there. Okay, so one of the use cases that we all know is NFTs. So what about NFTs? What are the NFTs at first place, and how is that actually relevant to scouting? So NFTs are the direct outcome of the blockchain. This is now, and this stands for a non-fungible token. So that's what is NFT. So not something not non-fungible, and it is one kind of a digital asset belonging exclusively to the owner and existing on the blockchain, meaning on digital ledger. So it's only existing there. It's recorded to belong to the owner, and owner can do something with it, whatever he likes. He or she likes. He can transfer it to the others, or can decide what to do with his own digital asset, this digital asset. And this can be used for so many things, like you can, for example, a housing developer could register their plot of land in the blockchain, which could then create a public record of who owns the land. Each time the piece of land is sold, the change of ownership will be recorded in posterity on the blockchain. And this process will make assets far more liquid than they are currently, and they remove all possibility of title disputes, for example. Now, again, but this is relevant for scouting. Maybe we can look into these cases. So, for example, you can create collections in OpenSea and use that as a crowdfunding. You can auction some of the things, or you can just own your collection of your digital assets, your visual assets. But more importantly, and this is the use case that we will be exploring in the World Scouting level, we could use the NFTs to digitalize scout badges and gamification. And one of the things I invite you to explore there is POAPs. So POAPs are based on a proof of attendance protocol. So imagine attending something. By attending something, being specific location and specific time, you can receive a digital badge. It can also be virtual, so it doesn't have to be physical time, but they can put out different conditions under which you can receive the badge. This will help us gamify some things. So in World Scouting, for example, we are looking how to gamify our World Scouting initiatives. We will also try to work with the hosts of the World Scout Jamboree to establish this also at the Jamboree. So for all the participants to earn NFTs by participating in a wonderful program that they are preparing. Okay, then let's think about another use case that could be useful for scouting. Background checks, credentialing, certification. So you could use blockchain, and you can see here a schema. Basically, essentially, the blockchain technology can help in figuring the background checks of people, volunteers that we are accepting. So it has a unique ability to store and validate data without exposing any personal identifiable information, but still can verify that, for example, that universities can share graduate degrees and employees can share employees' job, like employment dates and stuff. So everything can be verified using the blockchain, and it cannot be tampered again. So it's perfect use case, for example, for certification and credentialing. And I have no doubts, for example, that this is the way we universities, but hopefully also scouting, will be credentialing in the future using the blockchain technology. And this is just a tip of iceberg when it comes to the use cases. Another use case is voting, for example. Voting, can you imagine a voting system that can never be tampered? We always know this from elections, either outside of scouting, like hopefully in scouting is all fair and scout honestly, but in countries we sometimes hear about cases of tampering or misuse of voting systems and whatever not. Here with this technology, we could actually create like super secure voting system that can never be tampered. So here is described in a session essentially that voter would register, would do the authentication with a smart device. The digital keys would be like hashed, remember the algorithm things, would go into a blockchain, and the voters list and voter management would be also in the blockchain, and then the voters can vote essentially in the blockchain and receive the votes back, and this will be all very secure. And you can also preserve anonymity if you need, or things like that. So this is like very perfect use case, for example, for scouting. As we know, scouting is voluntary run, so there is always a lot of voting and decision making. So whether from the scout group level or even in patrols to the global level. There are millions of use cases of the blockchains. Really, I would just like to give you, I just borrow this graphic to explain that, to show some of the companies who are right now investing millions of dollars in the use cases. So for example, we have medical companies, healthcare companies that are looking into how we could, using the blockchain, we could look into data, but like privately enough, so it doesn't share personal information or personal health information, but would still help us to understand the health situations and what are the patterns and where things are happening. And this is really a groundbreaking thing that is happening. It can be used in real estate, so to make sales and confirm the sales and ownership of the particular land plots or any other assets. It could be used in art. We know that NFTs, we talked about NFTs. So imagine now finally artists have a chance to monetize their art, to promote it, and to actually quickly and only properly sell it. Also can be used, as I mentioned, credentialing and verifying. But imagine that this is a perfect system to confirm, like to end the copies, to end the false, medicines, false brands of clothes or things that are being constantly copied, and this could be protected with the blockchain much better. Mobile payments are a big thing, as we know. I mean, just 2 days ago, Google announced accepting cryptocurrencies now fully to pay for cloud hosting services and other services. It can be used for identification. We talked about this. It can be used for perfect identification. It can be used in security, music. It's just a lot of use cases here. Before I move to the last few slides, and we are going a little bit over time, so I hope you don't mind. I see that you are not leaving the session, so that's a good sign. So, and there is no session after this, there is no rush, so I can just continue for a few more minutes. Where do we get more information about blockchain? It's a good question. I'll share that also in the next slide. Can I get the PPT of the session by email? Well, we will try to share this PowerPoint. You can also watch the recording after this, but I got a similar question in the previous session, so I think I will share this presentation as well in the session description. As you know, these sessions will be available for some time after the Joti, so you can go back to the event and you'll see the recording and maybe also the presentation. I will try my best. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I mentioned digital wallets, so maybe a few things about digital wallets to know. There are many digital wallets that you can create very easily. It takes maybe 3 minutes to create, to 5 minutes to create a wallet. There are desktop wallets, mobile wallets, what we call cold wallets, which is basically a hardware wallets, online web wallets, etc. What is important to know about these wallets? Once you create your wallet, you can again pick up any wallet. I would recommend, for example, trying or starting with MetaMask, which is one of the most popular wallets out there. So you can go to metamask.io and just follow the instructions. It's quite easy to download and to install a wallet. You can also download mobile app, which is everything in a mobile app. What do you use your wallets for? In the wallets, you keep your currencies, but you can also keep your NFTs, your badges, your scout badges. So this is why it's important. The wallets work on different networks also, so you can, and this is why MetaMask is also one of the interesting ones, of course, because it has a lot of networks out there that you can use. So you need to select the network, for example, you plan to use, and you will you can receive the NFTs in this wallet as well. Maybe like last bit about the wallets is the security best practices. Never share your private keys, which you will get with your wallet. Only use reputable exchanges if you ever want to do in the cryptocurrency exchanges and stuff. If you are over 18, I would suggest not before. Is also please use reputable exchanges, the known sites. Update your wallets after every network upgrade, hard works fork. So do a password update. And don't talk about how much crypto you have to anyone, or if you have any currencies or very valuable NFTs. This is your private. And always seek to learn more about how to keep your wallet secure and things like that. So Also, one thing, when you install the wallet, you will see there is what they call the recovery phase. You will get it at the first step. A recovery phase is number of words. If you will need to save securely, please note this down. This is very important to save very secure this information. Best maybe print it and then delete the file, print it and then keep it somewhere safe, separated from your computer, because if someone can get access to these recovery keys, can actually access your wallet. Now, this is very important, but if you keep it separately, imagine this is so unbreakable. No way someone can break this. You need also this recovery phase if you're changing a computer or phone or installing somewhere else your wallet in some other computer or some other device that you're using. You would also need this recovery key. I think that's all about wallets. Someone asked where to learn more. There are many sites. Feel free to go on YouTube and explore and watch videos. That's always a good way. Ethereum website, ethereum.org, and please also look at these three suggestions I give here is more for if you want to learn to code and blog and develop some applications on the blockchains, or so-called dApps. So you can play a little bit with Sandbox. The it.build is the place to do that. You can play there with the hash and start to understand it. It's all completely safe. It's a playground sandbox. And actually, this is important because I will show you that in the last step. When you're going to get your NFT, you will actually access this it.build. So feel free later on, once you get your NFT, to play with this. Eternaut is the Web3 based game learning for coding on the blockchain, on Ethereum blockchain, and the speed Ethereum as well. I think we took a lot of questions, so I'll skip that for now. Let's get into the last and final step, the one that you've all been waiting for. So this is where you can actually get your first World Scouting NFT badge. This is a little bit how it's going to look like. It's really nice. And how do you get it? Okay, so you can go to jota.info/it.build, or you can scan this QR code. But bear in mind, if you scan the code, it will be on your phone, so you might need to a little bit move around things and be careful not to break something. Okay, what will happen when you do that? So you will see something like this. And okay, what would you do then? That's where you get this place. Okay, you can see the QR code here. Okay, but if I scan this QR code now, you won't get anything. Yeah, it will be a dead link. So what we made a little game here, so for you to try and to experiment, understand a little bit, the hash, the thing we were talking about here, and how everything gets combined with this algorithm to give you the right answer. So here in the text field, when you load this in this text field, you need to type the scout motto. Okay, small caps, all space between them, not one word, so 2 words. I'm giving you a little bit of tips. So what is the scout motto, just in case there are some new scouts here and still not sure what scout motto is. Here is a quick look. The scout motto would be something we should all know, but it's all right if you don't. That's okay. The scout motto is here, but bear in mind you need to use small caps. And that's it. If you solve this puzzle, which I send you to, you will get access in this QR code. You will need to scan it, and you'll get access to your first World Scouting NFT. There is a limited number of them. There's only 500, so hurry up. Don't leave it for later. And finally, for those who are interested, there is also a challenge value code for this session, so feel free to get it here. And also, I hope you like the session. And yeah, thank you very much for your attention, and also for your extra time that we took this time, because we looked into a lot of questions, a lot of things. Yeah, stay tuned for more information about how our World Scouting journey on the Web 3.0. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Okay.